American Horror Story is back, guys, and this time we're going back to 1984. What's up, horrorheads? Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to this channel, I'm Bobby, and in this video we're talking about American Horror Story 1984. In my last video talking about American Horror Story 1984, I decided that I wanted to do a recap on each episode that premieres. So enough of me babbling, let's get into this episode. So the opening of this episode takes us back to 1970, and we have a few teenagers fooling around, trying to have a threesome, do whatever. And then we have one girl that seems unsure because there's other campers or counselors sleeping inside the cabin, and she don't want to make too much noise waking them up. She seems a little unsure still, so she's still watching the other two make out and do whatever they're doing. And then she said, hey, let me just join the fun and get in with it, and let's go. So from the camera's POV, you see the shirt go above her face, and then you just hear this slashing noise. So then when her shirt comes off, you see this machete going through the two counselors' heads as they were making out. So then she see this guy standing above them. He takes the machete out, and then he chases after her and stabs the machete right through her eye. And then you get this freeze frame shot that's reminiscent to Friday the 13th, which is an epic idea because as you guys see the trailer, this is like heavily Friday the 13th reference, so why not go ahead and start off with that. After we get that epic kill, you see that the serial killer was doing some crazy ass killing. After he killed everybody off in the cabin, he pretty much finishes off by just cutting their ears off and taking it with him as a souvenir, which is really weird, but I guess we'll get in more into that story as the episode or even the season go on. And then we get our beautiful, awesome American Horror Story opening title sequence, and everything in the sequence is just 80s. You just see aerobic stuff going on, the colors, the music, the synth, a little splatter of blood, a little, just some eeriness in the sequence, and I love it. This is probably one of my favorite American Horror Story opening title sequences ever. So now we are introduced to our new characters. We get this scene in the aerobics class. You got the music. By the way, the music in this episode is epic. Every time Ryan Murphy does a show, you can always count on the music just being amazing. So yes, the music, the open introduction to these characters, amazing. So the first character we are introduced to is Xavier. He's played by Cody Fern. He was played by Michael Langdon in American Horror Story Apocalypse last year, so I already knew that he was going to be in the season. He did such an amazing job last year, so I knew Ryan Murphy was going to have him back in this season. Second character introduced is Montana. She's played by Billie Lourd, and Billie Lourd was in the last season of American Horror Story too. She played Mallory, I believe, opposite from Michael Langdon last season, and I think she was on American Horror Story Cult too. So I knew she was going to be in this season as well, and I just love Billie Lourd. I love everything that she does. I love her characters that she plays, and I feel like I'm going to get my life watching her play Montana. Our third character being introduced is Ray, who is played by Deron Horton. Deron is on Dear White People, and I love his character on there, and it was a surprise to actually see him be a part of this show. Because he's new to the American Horror Story franchise, and hopefully he does a great job and actually be a survivor on here, because we don't want to see the black guy die first. Hopefully he survives, and I'm rooting for Deron, or Ray, whatever you want to call him. Our fourth character being introduced is Chet, who's played by Gus Kenworthy, and I believe he's an athlete. I never really heard too much about him, so when I heard that he was joining the show, I didn't really do too much research, but I've been hearing that a lot of people was giving him a lot of flack because he's not an actor, he's an athlete, and they're not too sure how his acting ability would be or how he would mesh well with the cast. But so far, viewing this episode, he does a great job, so I don't see what the problem is. So why not have Gus on here? And the last character being introduced is Brooke, who's played by Emma Roberts. Obviously, you guys know who Emma Roberts is. She's been in American Horror Story for some years now. And like I said in my last American Horror Story video, I wanted Emma Roberts to play a completely different character because she's always playing the bitchy and the mean character. And I was hoping that she wasn't going to be that character on here. But she's actually, final girl material. Like, she's giving us nice girl next door, and I actually prefer that for her right now because I'm tired of her playing the same old character over and over again, and I don't want her to be typecast. So I'm happy that she's actually the star of the show. When I watch this episode, I can see her carrying the season through, and it's super campy and fun, so it's something that's not too heavy on her shoulders that she can't handle. And this whole scene of them in the aerobics class remind me of that movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta. I forgot the name of the movie, but that gif is super popular. You guys know the gif of Jamie Lee Curtis and John Travolta thrusting their pelvis, and they're in the aerobics class doing their thing, and this scene actually gave me that whole situation there. So if you guys know what the name of the movie, please write it down in the comments below when this video is over. So we have Brooke and Montana linking up and they're talking. Montana introducing herself and she's coming on a little strong to Brooke. And Brooke is just like, okay, girl, I don't really know you that well, but whatever. So Montana's just going on and on trying to be friends with her. And then they happen to run into Xavier and the rest of the group. So they run into Xavier, who's telling the story about a Night Stalker who climbs up into people's windows, into their rooms and steal their stuff and kill and murder a woman. They're trying to make things light, so they introduce themselves to Brooke and they tell the story of how they all met and, you know, try to, you know, make her feel welcome into the little friend circle or group or whatever they have. So Xavier continues to tell the story about the Night Stalker, and he also tells his friends that he got this job as a camp counselor just to get away from the whole area so he won't be a victim to the Night Stalker. And he invites his friends to be camp counselors because they need him, because this is a new place that's opening up. And they all invite Brooke, but Brooke is just like, no, I'm good. I don't want to. And, you know, Xavier's just like, look, your life might be saved. I suggest you come with us because you don't know what's going to happen. It's getting worse around here and blah, 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 blah. But Brooke is still, you know, still insists and say, you know, no, I don't want to go. And, you know, she continues about their day. So then we get to Brooke's house. She's getting ready for bed and, you know, getting herself situated. And just a coincidence, she gets attacked by the Night Stalker. You know, right after just talking about it, she just happened to get attacked by the Night Stalker. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Maybe they'll talk about that later in the season too. So she ends up getting attacked by him, and, you know, he ends up running off after she was fighting for her life. So after she gets attacked by the Night Stalker, she obviously changes her mind, because the next scene we see her inside the Scooby-Doo van, the mystery machine, I should say, with the rest of the crew. And, you know, she's just saying like she just decided to go with them because of that situation. So everybody's excited that she's coming, and, you know, she's gonna be a counselor with the rest of the crew, and they're just sitting there smoking weed, having a good time. She's telling the crew that she got attacked by the Night Stalker, and Montana's trying to like convince her like, hey, maybe by the time we get back he'll be caught and there's nothing to worry about because we're going far away, he's not gonna find you here. So she's, you know, Montana trying to ease Brooke's mind just to make her feel better. So they're in the mystery machine having a good time, smoking weed, you know, comparing bodies, being dudes. The girls looking at them like they're crazy. You know, Ray telling people to eat his damn shorts, which is a funny line. I'm gonna start saying that, and people probably gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but whatever. That's a funny line to me. So yeah, eat my shorts. So they stop at a gas station to get gas. Xavier goes to a payphone to check his messages, and he gets these weird messages talking about dicks and running away. I don't know what the hell was going on there, but it seems interesting. But maybe we'll get more of that later on in the episode or in the season 2. So they're at this gas station. It's called like Roy's gas station or whatever. And then I start to think, Roy, Friday the 13th. You guys know, and if you're a big Friday the 13th fan, again, Friday the 13th, A New Beginning, that was the imposter Jason, and there was a character on there named Roy, and he plays the imposter Jason on that movie. So it's just funny that they have the character named Roy on here stopping at a gas station, because all those slasher movies, they always gotta stop at a gas station. And then you get the gas attendant person telling him, or Roy or whatever his name is, telling them, you know, you're all gonna die, go back home, don't go there. Because the group said they're going to Camp Redwood, and he's telling them to go, you're all gonna die. So you're getting that classic, you know, stereotypical 80s slasher movie, you know, just drama and just like quotes and just all that stuff. The kids is back on the road, you know, they're still talking shit. Xavier's driving, not paying attention. They end up hitting a hiker. They actually take the body into the car, and Xavier kind of tells them, hey, whoever asked, don't say we hit them, just say, you know, we found them like this. So they end up taking them into the van, and they take them to the camp where they see Margaret. Margaret is like the head leader of the camp counselor. She's the one that actually reopened Camp Redwood. So they end up sitting there talking to her. They hear Brooke in the car like, hello, we got somebody back here. Like, why y'all sitting there making conversation? Y'all forgot about the dude. So they end up bringing them out and say, oh yeah, we need help. We found him like this. So they take him to the nurse of Camp Redwood, and the nurse is played by nobody but Angelica Ross from Pose. Now, I love Angelica Ross. She played the hell out of Candy. I love that character, Candy. And I was excited to see Angelica Ross be an American Horror Story. It's fitting for her. So she's playing Nurse Rita, and she's doing a hell of a job in the show. So while Nurse Rita doing her thing, Margaret gets the counselors and give them a tour around Camp Redwood, and she goes off on them about rules and things like that because they're all being sassy with her. She introduced them to Chef Birdie, who looks dirty as fuck, but obviously she has ties to Margaret because they talked about, you know, her reopening up Camp Redwood and knowing each other and being back at the place and all that fun stuff. So I'm pretty sure Chef Birdie is going to have like a significant role in here, because this is the first and last time we see of her in this episode. Chef Birdie looks kind of cuckoo bananas, and it won't surprise me if she's working with the killer. Just being funny, but I'm just saying she looks like the type. Now we got our campfire scene where we got Nurse Vita telling the counselors about Mr. Jingles, the massacre that happened years ago, how he butchered everybody and just, you know, took off their ears and turned it into a necklace and all that crazy stuff. And then we get Margaret that interrupts and say, well, hey, it wasn't 10 people that actually was massacred inside that cabin. It was actually 9. Because I'm the survivor. Margaret is telling the story how she was the sole survivor of the massacre inside the cabin in 1970. You know, she tells a story about her, you know, sleeping, and, you know, Mr. Jingles come up on her and, you know, stabs her. She plays dead. But then, you know, Mr. Jingles making his rounds through the cabin, taking everybody's ears off, and she was saying, you know, when Mr. Jingles got to her, she didn't flinch, she didn't blink, she didn't like make a noise when he just, you know, ripped her ear off. She, you know, continued to stay dead, but then she ended up being alive. So when they caught Mr. Jingles, she was able to testify in court, and they ended up locking him away. So she was saying that she couldn't get over this whole situation, the trauma of it all. She couldn't just bear of it. So how she handled it is, as she got older, she wanted to reopen Camp Redwood and make it a safe place, erase the bad memories, and, you know, make it into something positive. So that was her whole goal of reopening Camp Redwood. For some reason, everybody's carrying on this episode and forgot about the stupid guy that they hit on the road. So speaking of the guy that hit on the road, the hiker, he wakes up from whatever concussion he had, and for some reason he's just looking crazy and just, you know, disheveled. He looks in the mirror and realizes that his ear is missing. Now that's kind of fucked up, because how did his ear get missing? Is Mr. Jingles laying around, like staying around somewhere? How did he not feel that his ear got cut the fuck off? So, I don't know. Something else needs to be explained. So Brooke actually gets her ass up and decides to check on the hiker, because everybody else seemed like they just don't give a fuck. Brooke was the only one with a kind heart. So she goes into the cabin where the hiker is at and checks on him, and she sees him, and, you know, he's just going off telling her to get out, she shouldn't be here, and the phones are down, and she just tells him to calm down. She goes back to the cabin with the rest of her friends and say, hey guys, you know, the hiker is freaking out. He's saying the phones is down and whatever, and everybody just kind of still just brush it off like, okay, whatever, blah, 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 like, we don't care. So they obviously don't care about this dude. Brooke is the only one that actually cares. As the counselors are smoking and drinking and having a good time, we get a knock at the door. So we get Matthew Morrison from Glee just showing up, walking through the door in his little gym shorts and his little tank top. And then I noticed something. This dude has a huge boner the whole entire time he's walking around this damn room. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, like, what? Trevor, who's played by Matthew Morrison, is thrusting his boner in everybody's face, and Montana is intrigued. Montana is licking her lips. Montana want to jump his bones. Montana is saying that she masturbated to this guy. Montana is doing the most, and Montana wants Trevor. And I think Trevor is like the boss of them, like he looks over them. He's like some type of like manager to them or something like that, while Margaret is doing her thing. He watches over them and making sure that they're good. But, you know, Montana is looking for him. She goes out skinny dipping. He goes out after her, and she kind of just say, hey, come in, join me into this lake or whatever. So he strips down, and then he just jumps inside the lake with her, and she's trying to get down and dirty with Trevor with the massive boner. While they're canoodling inside the lake, Montana notices a car on her right side, and it starts revving, and she sees the lights. So it kind of freaks her out a little bit, so she just said, hey, let's go, let's get out of here. I'm getting a little scared, whatever, let's go. So now we get to Mr. Jingles escaping from the mental institution. And this is a whole reference to Halloween, because in the beginning of Halloween, when Dr. Loomis and the nurse was driving up to go see Michael, you see all these mental patients just roaming around. And, you know, they're like, since they let them roam around? And we get that kind of same scene going on here. And we get the story of Mr. Jingles escaping 3 hours prior to her, you know, making her way there. So Mr. Jingles ended up escaping by killing one of the guards that was checking on him, acting like he was hanging himself when he really wasn't hanging himself. He ends up choking the guard to death, taking his keys, pressing the buttons to let all the patients out so they can escape and go. And Mr. Jingles just makes his way out and he's gone. And I just love the reference to Halloween and, you know, Friday the 13th. Like, I get excited seeing all these references towards these movies just because I love them so much. So to see 84 doing it and making a reference to Halloween in this particular scene was pretty dope. So as the detective making her rounds around the room, she sees a newspaper with Margaret on the front cover saying that Camp Redwood is being reopened. And it was circled with a marker or red blood or something like that. And that's when she finds out that Mr. Jingles' motive is to get back to Camp Redwood and finish what he started, because he didn't kill Margaret from the last time that he was there. And even though he knew that she was alive, once he seen, I guess, that the camp was being reopened, he's just like, no, 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 no. I gotta fake like I'm dying so I can trap him up in here and get him out of here. Somehow, Mr. Jingles finds his way to Roy's gas station while Roy's underneath his car, you know, doing his thing, trying to fix the car, you know, like most mechanics do. And Mr. Jingles just shows up, you know, takes the little things off from underneath the car. It smashes Roy, and Mr. Jingles takes Roy's keys. And then we get another classic Michael Myers scene where he looks at Roy, you know, while he's being smashed at the car, and then he just smashes and stumps his head in. And that scene right there was graphic, because we got that same exact scene in Halloween 2018, minus the whole mechanic part, but the smashing of the head, just crazy. Beautiful at the same time, but crazy. I just love a head smashing in a horror film. I guess Mr. Jingles is kind of like Michael Myers, but with Jason style kills, if that makes sense. The Jingle takes Roy's car, and you know, with the keys and the slicker and all that, looking like the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer, makes his way to Camp Redwood. Meanwhile, you got Chet and Ray and the crew, you know, playing around. Ray and Chet get into a whole argument. You know, Chet throws like a little can thing at Ray and cuts his hand open, and you know, Ray needs, you know, get medical attention, but the nurse is just like, no, I'm sorry, I'm out the clock, sweetie. You go find bandages yourself and do that. So he ends up going out into the pouring rain trying to find bandages, which in my head, I'm like, all right, here it is. Mr. Jingles making his way to Camp Redwood. He's probably already there. And I think actually he was already there. It shows Mr. Jingle getting out the car, looking at Camp Redwood. And as that happening, that's when, you know, Ray's coming out trying to find bandages for his hand. And this is where I'm like, all right, they're gonna kill the black dude. And I'm like, poor Dorian, he didn't even make it to the second episode. But then we get punked because Brooke finds her way to Ray to help him out and say, hey, let me go into this other room because the bandages aren't here. Let me go get the bandages in the other room, and you know, I'll hook you up. So, you know, Brooke goes out to the other room, and I think it's the cabin where the hiker is supposed to be. So she grabs the stuff, but then a door slowly closes behind her, and she sees the dead body of the hiker pinned inside the wall, again, Halloween style, again. And she runs out being chased by Mr. Jingles. You know, she's running from him while this epic theme song is playing. It's pretty dope. I can't get the song out of my head. Brooke finds her way back into the cabin where the rest of her friends are at. And she's just like saying, hey, Mr. Jingles out there. Watch out. She's locking the door. Some of them look panicked, but the other ones are just like, okay, like whatever. I don't believe you. That's just a story. She's like, no, it's real. It's real. So the guys go outside and check and see what's going on. And they say that they don't see Mr. Jingles. And she's like, he's out there. So then they all go into the cabin where she says she's seen the dead body of the hiker. And the hiker's gone. He's not there. Classic slasher style. Always get rid of the body so you can make them look stupid. So they all saying, girl, you tripping. Something's wrong with you. There's no Mr. Jingles. You're making this shit all up. Then we get Margaret asking Brooke what happened. And Brooke is just like, you know, somebody was trying to chase me and kill me. And Brooke was like, look, you look dirty. Clean up. You look a mess. Brooke gets cleaned up. She's chilling in a room with the rest of the counselors, and she hears the phone ringing outside, which is the payphone. I don't think payphones really exist anymore, but 1984, they do. So she hears the payphone ringing outside, and she bothers Montana. Montana's about to shank this bitch. You know how when somebody like wakes you up and started, you kind of like just jump up and pop up? Montana had a damn pocket knife right underneath her pillow. So she woke up about to stab Brooke up. So Brooke is telling Montana the phone is ringing outside, and Montana's like, all right, girl, so what? Let it ring. Like, what's wrong with you? I need some sleep. So she goes, turn back over, go to sleep. And guess what Brooke dumbass do? Brooke goes outside to check and see who's calling on the payphone because it keeps ringing. So you're telling me that you get attacked by a night stalker at your home, you get chased by a serial killer and a slicker, and you're gonna go outside by yourself just to check on a call on a payphone? Are you serious? That didn't make any sense to me. Like, Brooke, I wanted to like her, but she's making some dumb, idiotic decisions right now. That shit would have just been ringing all night. She got that shit. But Brooke goes outside, answers the phone. She hears some jingling keys over the phone and she freaks out. So then we get the Night Stalker, who's Richard Ramirez, come out the bushes watching Brooke on the payphone. So obviously the Night Stalker felt where Brooke is at. So now the episode ends and then we have to wait till next week to see what happens from there. So yes, I had an amazing time watching the show. Again, like the colors, the music, the characters, everything about this show is good. It's not your typical American Horror Story, season. It's a lot more campier. There is some creepy moments in here, but just by the vibes of the trailer before I watched this episode, I already knew it wasn't going to be that scary. I already knew it was going to be more campy than scary, but it's still going to be a fun and interesting season. So yes, I had a great time watching this. I love the characters. Like I said, my favorite character so far is Montana, who's played by Billie Lourd, because she's just so like, I don't give a fuck, promiscuous, doing her own thing, and just the faces she makes, she's just, I don't know, Billie Lourd is amazing. I love her. And if you guys watched the episode, which I'm sure you have, please let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode and what you'd like to see happen in the future. I would like to discuss with you all in the comments down below, so please let me know what you thought about it. And please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to this channel to see more updates of American Horror Story 1984, and also to see my reviews on some awesome horror movies. So yeah guys, thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate it, like I always do. And I'll see you guys next week for the next American Horror Story episode. See you guys next time. Peace.